This is the plaintiff, Michael Landy. He says he watched in horror as the defendant ran over his beloved dog and killed it. The woman's a very mean person who showed no remorse, and he's having a hard time getting over it. He's a sickly and destroyed man who lost his wife and now his dog. And he's suing the cold-hearted defendant for $3,000 because she's 100% at fault. This is the defendant, Carol Cornett. She says she drove slowly until the plaintiff's two dogs were safely on the sidewalk. And as she accelerated past them, she heard the plaintiff scream, "Stop!" Somehow, one of the plaintiff's dogs got loose and ran under her car. She was in shock when she realized what had happened and just stayed frozen in her car. The plaintiff threatened her. The cops came and, well, here they are. She's accused of running down a pup.
All parties, please raise your right hands. Be seated. Come to order, please. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas. Michael Landy, you are suing Carol Cornett for $3,000 in pain and suffering, the cost of cremation, and shots that you had invested in your dog, which, according to you, she negligently ran over and killed. I'm sorry to hear about the loss of your dog. Tell me what happened.
Every morning before I go to work, I have two dogs. The big dog was 14 years old. That was like a partner. I had him for almost 2 years. So what happened was I came out my regular walks is between 7 and 7:30, but I came out about 10 after.
In the morning?
Yes.
Okay.
And when I came out with the two dogs,
are they on a leash?
Yes, they both had a leash. They both always, never without a leash, always. And the woman next door to me.
The second dog, how many years had you had that dog?
He's a little more, I would say I almost had him about a year and a half.
Okay.
You know.
And what kind of dog?
I think.
Couple of things. Okay.
He was a miniature schnauzer.
Okay.
And I have a blind woman that lives next door to me, and she has a German Shepherd that's on training. And she was walking up the block, so I didn't want to disturb her because the dog is still on training, and she was walking the dog. So what happened was I decided, let me go on the other side of the street so I don't disturb her. So as I was going on...
Where are you crossing?
I'm crossing on Gregory Avenue.
Okay, where on Gregory Avenue?
The cross lines will be over here. I was off the cross lines.
Off the cross line. Okay, so you're crossing with the two dogs because
Yes.
you see the German Shepherd.
Yes, and
Okay.
my big dog was on this side. He was
Right.
coming in because he's smart. He was going. The little one was always on the run. He wanted to like always pull or whatever
Right.
because he wanted to go by the other dog on the other side. So he started to get loose on the leash.
Loose on the leash?
Yeah,
How?
he was pulling.
Okay.
So the big dog was already on the sidewalk. The little one was pulling me. He started to get loose, but I noticed before he got loose, I jumped down the street and I said, "Stop!" Just like that to her.
Wait. So when this is happening, the dog is where? On the ground, on a leash?
On the leash.
On the ground.
He was pulling the leash, like, to get loose. He was pulling because he was nudging himself
Okay,
out.
had you already crossed the street or were you?
I was between the two cars, and my big dog was on the sidewalk. Like his
Right.
paws, he was
But
on.
the little one's a little less cooperative.
He was amazing. I named him Rex because he was wild. He was pulling. He's always wild. When I got across the street, the little one was pulling me. What happened was he was pulling, and his arm, he started coming out of the leash. But before he started to get out,
Wait. How did he get out of a leash?
he was loosening himself. Like he was, I don't know how.
Wait. What kind of leash did you have on?
I had a harness.
How do you wiggle your way out of a harness?
That's it. Your Honor, that's exactly what happened. He was loosening himself out of the harness.
You have a different story, right? According to you, the dog was loose. And
No,
not
the
on a
dog
leash.
wasn't loose.
Wasn't no
Okay,
leashes.
hold on. I'll be with you in a second. Go ahead.
What happened was when he was wiggling his way out, he was trying to get out of leash. The first thing I thought was, let me stop the car because the car was coming up. So I jumped out and I said, "Stop." And with that hand, the car accelerated and I went this way and he got out and went right under the front of a car. Now, if she had plenty of time to stop, there was no reason to speed up. I still would like to know why she accelerated the gas when I said stop. I did say stop. I had my hand out. I had my other dog over here, which he stayed there. But the little dog was too busy trying to go by the other dog. But he was getting loose. He wasn't loose. He was getting loose. And somehow he managed to get himself loose from the leash.
So the dog was loose when it was run over? The dog was not loose when it was run over? Did the lady run over the leash?
He did get loose.
Okay, he did. Okay, because you said he's not loose.
But
Okay.
before he got loose, I jumped in the street and I said, "Stop." He would have never been gone right now if she would have stopped because he would have ran to the other side of the street. All she had to do was hit the brakes. I still can't understand why she accelerated.
Well, let's find out. What happened?
I'm coming down Gregory. I turn the corner. I see him crossing the street with the dogs. So I slow
Are the
down.
dogs on a leash or aren't they?
They're not on a leash.
Neither one?
No. So as I slowed down as to let them cross the street, I seen they were on up.
Were
by
there
the
other cars slowing down in front of you or no?
There was no one in front of me.
There was no other car
just
in front of you?
cars behind me.
Okay.
So I seen that he was up on the sidewalk, so I proceeded to go. Then I heard him yell, "Stop," which I did. I stopped. I saw the dog run out and then run back. I seen him bend down, so I figured I could accelerate because I thought he had picked up the dog. Then I hear him say, "Stop" again, and the dog come charging out of nowhere. I didn't have enough time to stop. The dog was under the back tire on the passenger side.
Out of curiosity, where were you heading?
I was going home.
You work the night shift?
I don't work. I'm disabled.
Okay, you were going home from where?
I took a friend to work.
And you assumed that he had, I mean, you knew a dog was loose, right? And you assumed that he had picked up the dog.
Picked up because I seen him bend down and
wouldn't it have
stand
been,
up. So
in
I thought
retrospect, wouldn't it have been better to wait another 5 seconds and see that the dog was retained before accelerating?
I didn't accelerate that fast.
I know, but it did the trick, didn't it? Because the dog's dead,
Unfortunately,
right?
I
Just a
feel
second,
really
sir.
bad about it, but
Okay, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But in retrospect, wouldn't it have been a lot better to invest 5 seconds in waiting to see that he actually had his dog under control? We'll talk in a moment about whether the responsibility he has to keep his dog under control. We'll talk about all that in a second. What I'm asking you, just human to human, we're always in such a rush. What's the rush? What fire were you putting out? What cancer were you curing? You know a dog is loose. You know he's frantically trying to get it. You know, I mean, he may be an incompetent for his dog getting loose, but for the love of God, you can't wait 5 seconds before moving along. This is the kind of incivility that you see every day in traffic in every city in America.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. So is the driver partly to blame in this case?
I mean, I think the driver's probably to blame. If it was a child, the driver would have stopped as well, so.
Fair enough. I mean, but the driver, look, the person who has the dog was the one that let the dog go. There wasn't it.
They need it on a leash. They got to keep it.
Is the driver partly responsible?
Could be.
What do you think?
If a driver hits anyone or anything, it is responsible, yes.
Totally?
No, I think both people.
50-50-ish?
Yeah, right.
Fair enough. Going inside the courtroom.
Now let's talk a moment about your responsibilities. Tell me how it is.
It's hard. I know.
I'm sorry, let me finish my question. I know it's hard, sweetie. I'm a dog lover, and I have a dog that gets loose. And I have my dog on a leash all the time, but we have a gate that sometimes doesn't close. And we don't know it doesn't close. And we've had it repaired a few times. I've done what I could, but if my dog who apparently has figured out how to open up the doorknob, which everyone's very impressed about all the time, but I'm not impressed because she hasn't figured out how to close the door behind her so the mosquitoes don't get in, will open up a door, run out, and I know that sheer panic of that moment. I know it. But if someone were to run over my dog, I would realize that it's my fault because my dog got loose, because only 2 possible scenarios are true. Either your dog wasn't on a leash, so it's your fault, or your dog was on a leash that didn't contain your dog, so it's your fault. It's one of those two. You seem to have this feeling that when you're jaywalking in the middle of a street where traffic has a right to be, that you have a right to tell them to stop, and if their instincts aren't fast enough, they have to pay you $3,000. I don't know where you get that from. You know, but let me talk to you about what happened here, because what happened here is really about what happened afterwards, right? You felt that she didn't have an ounce of remorse over what happened. Tell me how she behaved.
That's a piece. She didn't even get out of the car, didn't say a sorry, no remorse at all. Not an inch, nothing. Not even to the cop, nothing. The cop even couldn't understand it. And that's the way I feel right now. If she wasn't in such a rush, my dog would still be here. That's how I feel.
I know that's how you feel. Have you ever asked yourself if you had your dog on a leash that would actually comply with the law's requirements, your dog would be here? And I hate to pour salt in your wound because I know you're in a lot of pain, but you have to let this one go, because legally speaking, you don't have a leg to stand on to say that but for what she did when she's going in traffic and thinks you're clear, and though I would have reacted differently, because I know that where I'm going, the pillars of the republic will not fall. Even if I'm heading to the People's Court to do my job, if I take another 5 seconds to make sure that someone who's having a catastrophe solves their catastrophe before I accelerate. I understand that, all right? But if I have a right to be on the street legally driving and you're the one who's got a loose dog and they're jaywalking, I don't see how you think that a court of law can help you in this and say it's your fault. It may morally be a little bit bad. And if in fact she showed 0 ounce of remorse, that's bad. But that doesn't make a legal case.
No, I understand.
You know, I just read an interesting book called Freakonomics. And in it, they talk about the likelihood of a doctor getting sued. And the likelihood of a doctor getting sued does not go up based on the negligence that the doctor exhibited. Do you know what the single most likely predictor is of a doctor getting sued? Of you suing your doctor? If your doctor was jerky. We wouldn't be here if you had showed the slightest bit of remorse. He has an affidavit from a neighbor saying that you could care less, that you felt it was his fault. You know, yeah, it's his fault.
I told the officer I was sorry.
I don't know. Maybe the officer's not the person you should be telling you're sorry to. Does that occur to you? You would not be here if there was a slightest bit of human civility.
But I was in shock. I didn't.
Is there anything you'd like to say to him now? Because his dog is dead. I understand. Listen to me. Listen to me. It's his fault. You're going to win this case. I want you to listen to me. Is there anything you'd like to say to him anyway?
I'm very sorry for what happened, but I feel that if the dog was on the leash, that wouldn't have happened.
Now let me explain something to you, because even my children understand this. There's no such thing as an apology followed by the word but.
Thank you.
And if my 10-year-old knows that at your age, you ought to know it. For the reasons I've already outlined, though, my verdict is for the defendant. Good luck.
Thank you.
Well, the plaintiff comes out on a losing end of this case. Step on in here. How much worse is it now that you've found out that it was your fault?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I still don't feel it was my fault.
In your heart, you know.
In my heart.
The law says it was, though. The law.
That's what the law says, but my heart, I don't think it was my fault.
I saw the
think the woman
tears.
should have stopped.
Yeah. Well, we saw the tears. How'd you like her?
Pedestrian too, so.
How'd you like her apology?
No,
What about it? Why don't you accept it?
because it didn't come out right. Even the judge saw that.
Okay, right down this way. Okay. All right, step on in here and tell me what's going through your mind as you come out here.
It's just, I'm just ball of nerves.
That's understandable. You want to calm down for a second, take a deep breath, and try that apology again?
I'm really sorry for his loss. There was nothing that if I could do it over, I would see what else I could do, but there was nothing I could do. And I'm really sorry for that.
There was a but in there again.
No.
Harvey?
Thing is, the leash law is pretty much a lock. You don't have a dog on a leash, you're going to be responsible for the damages that ensue. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.